Hello and welcome back to History News. The following report is about Nat Turner's stories and one of the biggest accomplishments he achieved during his lifetime. That was the slave rebellion he started.
The Nat Turner slave rebellion was one of the most notorious and bloodiest slave rebellions of all time. This rebellion also left a big scar on America. It was one of the major events that affected the Civil War.
Today we have the chance to interview Nat Turner. He's going to be telling us all the details about his life and the rebellion.
Hello, Mr. Turner. We have some questions we want to ask you. The first question is, what inspired you to start the slave rebellion?
There were many reasons I, among others, decided to revolt, but I think the biggest reason I decided to revolt was because of the oppressive system of slavery.
Slave life were very miserable. Slaves often got barely any food, worked from sunrise to sunset, and were abused in many forms. Some forms of abuse was whipping,
Ow! 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 Ow!
hitting,
Ouch!
and even being worked to death. Slaves were also often separated from their family.
Go. No,
Get out. They were given little to no freedom, and very few slave owners may have been considered being generous to their slaves.
I just knew things needed to change. Not only I knew that, but God knew things had to change too. God would tell me every day what I should do, and I was going to do exactly that.
You have a very good point, Mr. Turner. The oppressive system of slavery was something needed to be changed. I mean, just hearing how grueling it must have been really impossible to survive through it. I can completely understand why you were no longer afraid to rebel, most like slaves at their time.
That brings us to our second question. What were your first steps in making that change?
Well, at first I preached to the other slaves so that way they can hear my ideas and views on this. I did this hoping that the other slaves would join my cause.
Nat Turner preached his word to the church congregation. He preached to the other slaves, trying to convince others to join his revolt. Turner heard divine voices which he believed was to start the revolt. He preached the plan.
Attention, fellow slaves! I have good news. The Lord has told me our time has come. We are no longer slaves, and we are officially equal, just like He says. We're equal, and we're all free men. So, on the night of August 22nd, we will go out and kill the slave owners who have done us wrong.
Yeah,
let's do it!
Praise the
Lord.
Lord!
Praise the Lord! Praise the Lord Jesus!
It turns out many slaves agreed with me, and sooner than I thought I had many supporters.
What did you do once you had gained enough supporters?
Once I had gained enough supporters, I had started to go on with my plan. It all started in the early hours of August 22nd, 1831.
Let's get moving! Go, go, go! Let's go!
One.
That was pretty much all there was to it. I thought I was doing what was right. But once word is spread about what I had done, I was sentenced to execution a few months later. He died on November 11, 1831, at the age of 31 in Jerusalem, Virginia, because of the revolt. Most people like me would be terrified and quaking at the sound of the word execution, but I wasn't. I am here loaded with chains and willing to suffer the fate that awaits me. I know I did what God wanted me to do, and that was the story of my slave rebellion.
Wow, everything about this revolt was intriguing, yet deep.
Thank you for taking your time to tell us all about this, Mr. Turner.
No problem. It was my pleasure to be here. Besides, everyone deserves to hear my story. Have a good day, you two.
As we found out, the revolt was really intense. The impact in the South of the Nat Turner slave rebellion was adverse to civil rights before the Civil War. It was an important role in the development of the antebellum slave society. The revolt was a reference to the justification for the Civil War.
Not only that, this was one of the main reasons for the cause of the Civil War.
We all know that slavery was a large contributor to the Civil War. While it was wrong to say that Turner's Rebellion was the only event related to slavery that caused the Civil War, it nevertheless played a significant role in expanding its arrival. This is because the reactions of the revolt sparked among the North and South, which led to more drama between the two. So essentially, Turner's Rebellion brought the tensions that grew into the Civil War. Had it not been for the rebellion, the Civil War would have not developed as quickly as it did, further extending the slaves' detrimental condition. This was our report on the Nat Turner Slave Rebellion, and we'll see you next time on History News.